configuring our YouTube live streaming. So, okay, our meeting is now live, and I'm just gonna do that and reduce that screen. Okay, so I'll call the meeting to order. It is 7:08. If we could stand if able for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All righty.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
the United States of America,
and to the republic
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Perfect. Okay, so
got the tennis player on. US Open.
yeah, it's
She
does look like a tennis player there.
Yeah, we got the US Open player on now. Teresa, good job.
What are you talking about?
You look like a tennis player from the US Open.
Your white outfit.
I know, whatever. All right. We have a public portion first, and we do have a Eagle Scout candidate. So Bill, do you want to make any introductions, or shall we just go right off to Colin?
Go right off to Colin. Let's do it.
I'll just follow up. As I say, he met with us at the Trails Committee meeting. We had open discussion and very enthusiastically supported this project, made a slight change to the design of the boardwalk, which will save him some money and make it a little easier for us to maintain. And with that, I will turn the microphone over to Colin Edwards, who's from Troop 28, who's a Life Scout and looking to get his Eagle Scout.
All right.
Good evening, Colin.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Tell us about your project, Colin.
All right.
Just like you did to the trip.
Is there a way I can screen share?
Yeah, I'm going to make you a host, so hopefully that will allow you to screen share.
All right.
This meeting is being recorded.
Wait, whoops, sorry. Where is?
I think we all have to say, got it.
All right, give me a second. I'm trying to.
Take your time, Colin. Take your time. We're in no rush here.
I'll be honest, this is the first time I've let somebody else screen share, so hopefully you'll be able to do it.
All right.
I had to make you a host, so you should have the ability.
I'm a
to
host.
screen. Down at the center of your screen should be a share screen icon.
Where is it?
In the center of the screen, down at the bottom, if you see participants, chat, and share screen, should be
yeah. Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
All right.
Here you go.
Is Colin's thing muted?
Colin is currently muted on his microphone, and he's ready to present his PowerPoint.
There it is.
All right.
All right.
Great.
So for those of you who don't know, I'm Colin Edwards. I'm from Troop 28 in Shelton. I'm planning on doing a project with the Trails Committee at French's Hill Open Space. I'm very enthusiastic about this project because of how I use the trails a lot, and they're very important to me, and I'd like to contribute to the trails.
Great. So
for my Eagle project, I'm planning on doing a kiosk and a boardwalk at the French's Hill Trail. The kiosk, if you read the description, will be 8 feet above ground, 3 feet under. It's going to be cemented into the ground. It's going to be at the trailhead. And I'm going to be doing 24 feet of boardwalk on the trail.
Wow.
Well, do you have a
And
picture, Colin?
yes.
Okay.
I have to
Get to it, I
change tab.
Okay.
Let me change.
8 feet high, huh? That's quite high.
All right, let me.
Well, that's to the top of the roof, right?
Oh, the kiosk, you mean?
Yeah, the kiosk is 8 feet to the top of the roof.
Okay, so is that, Colin, Tom Harbinson here, is that similar to other kiosks that we have throughout the Trails Network in town? Kind of
Yes.
the look and feel kind of thing? And
Oh, okay. What am I looking at here?
that's the kiosk roof. He's got
I
some
got you.
sketches there, the concrete, where it's gonna go in place at French's Hill. Colin, your microphone's muted.
All right, sorry. So this is the map of French's Hill,
Right.
and so the mark near the parking lot is where the kiosk is going to be,
Oh, okay.
and the boardwalk is the other mark near the field in the middle of the trail,
Mhm.
Right.
and it's gonna be along in a muddy part, as this is where the kiosk, it looks like the spot, it needs to be like weed whacked.
Okay.
And the boardwalk spot is here. It's a spot the Trails Committee marked for me. That is a spot where it gets muddy, and this is a few days after it recently rained. This picture, and this shows the spot that I'm planning to put the boardwalk. And so, to give you an example of how the poles are going to be in the ground, it's going to be 12. The poles are going to be 12 feet in total, with 3 feet being under the ground, cement or concreted in, with 8 feet showing. I don't know why it says 6 inches, but it's going to be total 12 feet. Sorry, yeah, this is the right measurements, and it's going to be 12 feet total. They're going to be 6x6s.
Uh-huh.
And
Colin, can you go back to the picture a minute of where you're gonna put it?
all right,
Just
which
a
one?
second.
The one with the grass.
Here. So do you have rock in the ground or not? It's like, it's easy digging there?
For what? Kiosk?
No, for your posts, you're gonna dig your concrete footings in.
For the kiosk.
You don't have rock there?
When I looked the first time, there didn't seem to be rocks
Oh, good. Okay.
before it was all grown during the winter.
Okay.
And so these are just some of the different blueprints I made of the different parts of the kiosk. This is going to be like the actual box where all the information is going to be,
Right.
with this being the door. I'm going to show you the materials list in 1 second. This is what it's going to look like from the front without the roof on. With the side here.
Uh-huh.
And then this is the roof. And to make sure that the roof lasts a while with the cedar shingles, it's going to be slip sheeted, which is where it allows air to come under and dry the shingles so they don't rot away.
That was smart.
Yeah, that is good.
All right, and here, I'm going to change this tab again. All right. So if we go back to the paperwork. So I plan to start this in the late September and hopefully finish late November, early December.
Okay.
So these are just, I plan to recruit 10 people from my troop to help me with the project. And
Colin,
so-
I apologize to interrupt you for a moment, but unfortunately, the way I made you a host to allow your screen sharing, we have another member who is wanting to participate, and you, as the host, are able to do that. At the bottom of
believe I
the
added
screen, you've got the share screen, chat, and then participants. If you could allow Ed McCreary to
I believe I already did.
Just now, yeah.
Yeah,
there you
he's in.
go. Thank you.
All right.
Go ahead, Colin.
Oh, so the materials. Here are the different materials I'm gonna need. All the wood is gonna be pressure treated, so it lasts a while and it survives nature. These
Right.
are just some of these are gonna be the different types of wood I need, and the dimensions and how much. So, most of this is just gonna be all of it's gonna be for the kiosk and the boardwalk. I hope to get some of this donated by either Lowe's, Home Depot, West End Lumber, and any other places that I can ask for donations. With the kiosk, the window is going to be made of Lexan, which is a glass-like material. I believe most of you should know about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Heard of it.
And it's going to be cedar shingled.
Very good. Just a point, Colin, with your material list, that's great. Home Depot, Lowe's, and West End Lumber, they could be a source for in-kind donation. Just so you know, we do have a budget and the Conservation Commission that can help supplement some of the costs of materials.
All right. Supplies are mainly food and water that are provided for the people that are helping me with the project. Some of this other stuff is stuff that has to do with safety and being like clean outdoors, not littering, keeping yourself clean. The tools that are going to be needed are screw guns, a leveler, a hole digger, an electric saw, which only the adults are going to be used because of the Boy Scout requirements, a wrench,
Boy
mixing
Scouts
stick.
only use a power saw?
Yeah, the
Oh.
Scouts aren't.
Interesting.
Only adults can.
Yeah, power equipment.
Wow.
Uh,
Times
five,
Yeah, it's a
Electric screwdriver. Somebody who's 17 should be able to use an electric
You
screwdriver.
think? You think?
yes,
right, got it.
everything else can be used by the normal Scouts.
Right.
I'm gonna have the rest of the materials or tools are 5-gallon bucket and hammer. All right, so the cost for the materials, it's around $663. Most of that I hope to get either donated or fundraised with my fundraising project. The supply should be 100, and there's tools and other stuff. I can get provided for free and borrow. So the total cost should be around $763. And for fundraising, as I said before, I'm gonna try and get donations, but I also am going to do a bottle drive and collect the bottles and bottles and cans and turn them in to help pay for the Eagle Project. And this is just the future of the project, what I have to do before, like different steps in the project I have to do. Number one would be like getting more in depth with the planning, present the project to the beneficiary, my troop and council, fundraising, buying and obtaining the materials, setting up work dates, preparing materials for building, actually building the kiosk and boardwalks and installing them, and then the final report. And so these last two sections are logistics, which is how am I going to handle transportation of the materials, supplies, tools, and helpers. And so how I'm going to handle that is the helpers will have to find their own transportation by either their parents or themselves to come to the project, while tools will be and materials will be transported by my family. And I was told that the Trails Committee is going to provide tools like the hole digger and other
Correct.
tools for the project.
That's correct.
All right, this safety issues are, which is stuff we should be concerned about at the project, making sure no one gets hurt. So as the guidelines for tool usage, scouts can only use what the guidelines say so that we're being safe and following the rules. The adults will be using saws to help pre-cut the wood. We will have a first aid kit there with people who know how to use it. So if anything goes wrong, people can be traded for first aid if necessary. And to prevent safety concerns, I'm going to explain how to prevent, like what hazards are and how to like behave and not injure other people or yourselves. And that's the end of the paperwork.
That's very good, Colin. I appreciate the focus on safety, particularly in the hot weather when people can be dehydrated. And I think that's an important component that I haven't seen referenced to the same degree with other applications. I think also that your timeline of the various aspects to achieve it. The only thing I would add is maybe to have some dates or rough estimates of the months. I know often we encounter Eagle Scout projects that are pretty close to their 18th birthday. I'm not sure how old you are and when that timeline may occur, but working at least backwards from when you want to achieve this would be helpful for your scheduling, perhaps. And lastly, regarding fundraising, while it's great with the bottle drive, sometimes if you can generate publicity for such an activity for the fundraising, you can reach beyond just your scout group, and doing that with the newspaper, Shelton Herald, might be beneficial.
All right. Just to go on your point about the issues with turning 18. Right now I'm 14, so hopefully that won't become a
Oh, you'll
there
have this
won't be
done
a
within
deadline.
seeing your outline. You're going to have it done way before you're 18. So and hats off to you.
All right. And just if you guys want to do you guys want to look at the photos again, or are you good?
I think we're good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think we've got a good sense of things, Colin.
I think you did a good job presenting that.
Yeah.
What was
Good
the
job.
comment that the Trails Committee had?
Oh, just everything with the kiosk was fine. We suggested he was originally going to use 5-foot lengths for the lengths of each individual bog walk. And we said, that's an awful lot of support. You really don't need that much. If you make them 8 feet long and, supports at each end and one in the middle, that's certainly
All right.
fine.
Good
So
suggestion.
instead of doing 20 feet, he's going to do 3 8-foot, so 24 feet. So
Great.
Yes, I changed that after our meeting, and I changed the price and got all the materials and changed that. I just have to draw the thing.
Well, it looks like you got a lot of work ahead of you, Colin. Good luck with that. It'll be rewarding when you're done.
I think we need to make a motion to approve his project.
Yeah, I make a motion that we endorse Colin's Eagle Scout project as presented, and further coordinations can be done with the Trails Committee with Bill Dyer and or Teresa Gallagher as the conservation agent.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Colin. You're
Thank you,
welcome to
Colin.
participate further, but I think you've accomplished your mission this evening.
All right.
Good job.
Great,
Thank you for
Colin.
your time. Have
Bye,
a good
everyone.
night.
Thank
too.
you.
Aye.
You too.
Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our Wednesday, July 12th meeting. We did not meet in August. I have a motion to approve those minutes.
So move.
Made by Bill, seconded by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just letting you know, Sherry has texted me. She's had some technical difficulties with her computer. That's why she dropped out of that, trying to get back on. So when I see her, I'll bring her back in. Natural Resource Manager, General Report, Garden Committee, Litter Committee, anything?
Sure. Well, it's been 2 months. Of course, I was on vacation for part of that, but for enforcement, there were some dirt bike quad actions taken at Woodson Trail. That's the new trail at Houstonic Woods. There were some problems there, and I had sent some letters out and put up a trail cam, and there has been no further activity since those letters went out. So that's a victory.
Good.
Pearmain Nickeldale, I recently was contacted by Joe Welsh because they've had some quads going into the meadows there at Nickeldale, and he followed their tracks back on the Pearmain path through, which is city property now, onto Pearmain Road. And I went and took a look, and very obvious they're quads, maybe dirt bikes as well, but at least one quad. So I did get a 5th deer cam and installed that on the Pearmain path. And then I will also be looking at seeing if we can block that off. And I may need some help from Highways and Bridges or something like that, but at least I have a camera up for now. Bone Pond is interesting. You know, we had someone had taken out the beaver dam there a year or two ago. And since then, someone has been, actually for the last couple of years, someone has been, we thought it was rock stacking because we'd see these stacks of rocks on boulders. Me and Lisa Adriani is just a member of the public who is very active on the trails and contacts me quite a bit. And the two of us, whenever we saw these rock stacks, were, you know, putting them back down. And when I looked at it a little bit closer, it seemed that it wasn't really rock stacking. It was someone clearing out the channel, trying to get better flow, I think, from the pond. And so, and I had put up notices last year that were ripped off a tree saying, please don't do that, and put up additional notices, and they kept doing it. So I put up another trail cam and I didn't have it completely set up before I went away on one of my vacations, but I still managed to get the tail end. It was somebody wearing rubber boots that came through. And then in the meantime, I sent out letters to the neighborhood. Same thing, said, you know, this is the problem we're having, and keep an eye out and let me know. And so far it has stopped. So crossing my fingers there. And the other thing I did there at Bone Pond is yesterday morning, I installed a park sign. It says Bone Pond Preserve right out at the parking area there. Behind it is where the pond is. And I think that can help because you're saying it's Bone Pond Preserve as opposed to, you know, some municipal vacant land that may not have the same value.
Right.
French's
You're
Hill.
next.
Hey, Sherry. French's Hill, that trail has been closed off because of Eversource work, and we have not been maintaining it, but in the last week, I did take a walk out there, and some people have been on it, in particular dirt bikes. So I checked the camera that I had installed last year and got a bunch of pictures and have been passing those around. Trying to build public awareness again there. That does seem to help. I think in this case, some of those dirt bikes may be coming up the power lines, because it used to be you could not access that trail system from the power lines, but now you can because of all the work. And then the last one for enforcement is 20 Wellington Court, which I had emailed everyone a couple of pictures. Did anybody have a chance to look at that? Because
Yeah.
that's basically you know, a matter of opinion. I need some a judgment call on that as to what you think is acceptable in terms of the guy's got a fence right on the property line, and what is acceptable for him to do on the city side of the property line. And right now he's using up with his landscaping at least 10 feet of the open space, the entire length of his of that property. Any opinions?
Well,
Nasty Graham.
he's on our property. If we want to take the grass out, you just go and take the grass out.
Okay.
mean,
I will,
He's on
I
your-
can
he's
easily
on
do
your
that.
property.
I can do that with Roundup, but I just wanted to, bounce this off
No,
of
you
you.
should-
because-
You should
I agree.
Do
you
it?
should always- Okay, you ready? Are you done? So you should always tell the owner what your plan of action is prior to doing it. But if you've told them that you're going to remove the grass that's on the open space, we don't want it there, we're going to remove it. And then 3 weeks from now, if it's still there, you take it out. That's the way it is.
Agreed.
I agree.
But you have to tell somebody, you have to tell them that it's not proper for the open space, and you'd rather have it return to its natural vegetative state. And that's that. And it's on your property. It's your property. So it's
Yeah.
city property.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was on the same page before I did that.
Yeah, I mean, we cannot start a precedent where people think that they can take ownership of city open space. I think that's a very dangerous precedent.
I agree. And sometimes if it's 10 feet and somebody else says, well, there's only 10 feet, then it's going to be 20. And so if you kind of nip it in the bud, as you will, just to say this is unacceptable, it's not allowed, and it's going to be removed, it kind of just doesn't give anyone a confused state of mind.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, well said, Sherry.
Okay. So then community gardens, same as always for summer inspections, dealing with garden drama and so forth. Eklund Garden, same thing, weeding, string trimming, pruning, spraying with deer repellent, because they get in there, or it may have been the woodchuck. Lisa Adriani had
Woodchucks.
of the woodchuck going through the deer fence, which was not designed for woodchucks.
I
But
hate woodchucks.
Oh,
How
they're
many chucks could a woodchuck chuck
Oh,
if a
no.
woodchuck could chuck?
cute.
They're-
A little
they're-
furry, fat little
oh
creature.
boy.
They're brutal, destructive.
And then for trails, I've been helping out. We had, Mark is one of our more active members, and he came down. First, he was the previous months was really working on the gator was down in the DR, and he was, working on that. And then he came down with COVID, and then his father passed away. So it's been a rough time for Mark. Anyways, like I said, I routed that sign for Bone Pond. I cleared about 10 blowdowns, at Birch Bank and Woods End, and I'm just using a battery powered chainsaw. So, you know, a tree that these guys can just go through with like butter if they're out there. It takes me a long time, and sometimes I can do it, but it just takes a long time. Maybe 4 batteries. Did some trail clearing this morning. I was clearing part of the Pagasa Trail off of Independence Drive, where that part of the trail has been technically closed because of Eversource work, but Mark and another trail volunteer, Ray, had got the gator out and were clearing the trail from the other end. And so I went in today and cleared the woodland part, and the 2 meet now, so that if someone wants to walk through there, and we do get people going through the trails, even though the trail is technically closed, because most of the Eversource work is actually done. You know, they still need to do some cleanup and restoration work. But for the most part, if you go out there, there's no construction activity going on. You can easily walk the trails, and people are doing that. I did repaired a bridge on Stockmole Trail that was missing a whole bunch of boards. And addressed some drainage issues at Birch Bank because of all that rain we've been having. We had a lot of trouble with water gushing down the hillside and then getting captured by the trail and going down the trail and causing all kinds of trouble. And cleared about 80 foot of a blowdown on Woods End Trail, and also took the string trimmer and hedge trimmers through that. My element vine was interesting because means that's a Trombetta Woods. And last year, because there was a drought, I was able to go there every couple weeks and just walk across Means Brook. And I just pulled it, and it, you know, I just kept on top of it, and it was fine. This year I went out, I think it was the beginning of June, and then we had a lot of rain. So the river was higher, and I didn't go across the river until last week. I think it was last week. And I got out there
before you did your hiking, because I remember I encountered you on Route 110.
Yeah, and oh my goodness, that was a mistake waiting that long, because there was way more mile a minute vine than I expected. And you know, one vine, you know, when you first pull it up, if it's in June or July, whatever it's young, you're pulling up a 5 or 6 foot long vine, and it pulls right up. It's thin, the barbs aren't very big, but if you wait, not only is the vine thicker with bigger barbs, and it's now 25 feet long, but it has side vines that are also 10 or 25 feet long.
Wow.
And they have side vines, and now they're all growing into each other, and they all have all these barbs. So lesson learned.
Wow.
Yep. And I had a report the other day of mile a minute at Sunnyside, and I went out there, and fortunately it was a case of mistaken identity. But that's where I did see the what you call it, the
Lantern
spotted
fly.
fly.
Yeah.
And then there's the Birch Bank plant management area. I've been spraying that with deer repellent, and I've started pulling out the stilt grass, which I need to get on top of it before it goes to seed. Usually, I think that's the end of September. I did repair the second deer exclosure after one of the trees fell down, and then I removed the first deer exclosure. I don't recall if I sent you anything or not on that. It might have been the Trails Committee. But what happened is that the first deer exclosure, I've been spraying deer repellent around that. And so everything outside of the deer exclosure looks very lush, just like it does inside the deer exclosure. And then the other thing is it's surrounded by all these ash trees, which are falling, and one is leaning and ready to crush the whole thing. So I wanted to get everything out of there while I still could. And so I pulled all that plastic out and the wire out, and that one's gone. That one's history. It did its job. It showed that the deer were eating a lot, and that deer repellent works quite a bit on plants. But it also showed that the native plants where they were allowed to grow helped compete with the invasive species. I mean, they don't completely outcompete them. They don't just magically get rid of invasive species. But if you're pulling the invasive species and the native species are allowed to grow, that does help you quite a bit, and you spend less time pulling the invasives. And that is my report.
Did a lot of work. Thank you, Teresa.
Yeah. Fortunately, it was a nice, cool, early part of our summer, but,
Yeah,
boy, doing that kind of, work in current temperatures would be a beast.
Yeah, and now I'm planning my I've been planning my fall hiking in Vermont for the cool weather, and I have to postpone it because it's too hot.
Yeah.
but we did have a perfect summer of rain and dry to make everything grow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, I assume there's nothing to discuss in our budget. I had it as a line item, but, I'll move on to, Bill Dyer, with the trails and Eversource activity and,
Yeah, I'll be quick. Obviously, we got through Cullen, and I appreciate everybody voting for that. We just today, about noon, got feedback from Eversource. Details, we had it in, I think it was the 9th of August. We had a field walk with 7 of us and 9 of them to basically walk all the Shelton Lakes trail impacts of the replacement of the towers. And today we got their tentative agreement on what they will do. They basically sent us maps and then details on each map of what we've generally agreed. Obviously, we didn't have a chance to review 10 maps and whatever by the time we met today. So we've all agreed that we will respond to them certainly by the end of next week, if not the middle of next week. So everybody's going to review them. I think in general, we're reasonably happy with what they came back with, which is when we walked with them, they were very supportive. And yes, we can do that and this, that, and the other, but naturally you'd like to get it in writing. So we just got it today. We'll be reviewing it. And our main effort obviously is in remediation. You can't do anything about what they've already done. Now that we're trying to, they basically, it looks like they've pretty well removed within Shelton Lakes all of the lattice old lattice towers and the about a foot or so below where they jackhammered the cement that was around each of the 4 legs. So they've pretty well removed all of that within Shelton Lakes. They haven't removed all the wood support matting that they
yeah,
put
the
down.
dunnage, yeah, the matting. Yeah.
That's their next step, and they indicated that they expect to start the remediation this month. And the key, of course, is part of it is where they're going to come in and put down soil and then a wildflower mix over top of that. And obviously we want to get that done before it gets too cold so that it has a chance to germinate and at least be ready to sprout next year. So that was sort of our main effort today and the trails meeting. And as I say, our goal is to work with them to get feedback on what they've presented to us today in writing by the middle to the end of next week.
Great. I hear that the gator is now repaired and back in action.
Indeed, yeah, we saved somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 by doing it ourselves versus taking it to North Haven to the John Deere dealer. And another thing that we're somewhat concerned about are the new rules of accounting in the fact that anything over $100 requires a purchase order. I mean, you go over to get some fence posts and fence rails over at Home Depot, and that can easily be more than $100. And so what it means is that when you submit a invoice for like $170, you become an official vendor of the city. I am, or Terry, or Mark, or whoever. And it just seems really overly ridiculous that, obviously we come up with these, we present them to conservation because it's conservation's budget, and you generally approve them. There's, nobody's building a fence in their backyard by buying stuff and claiming it's for trails. So,
and the other big change was that previously it was any one item that was over $100, and now it's any collection of receipts that you are submitting at the same time that are over $100. It could be for unrelated items.
You get a couple of fence posts, a can of gasoline for the gator.
Everything's so expensive right now.
Oh,
Is this separate from extracting it from our budget?
I think what he's saying
No.
is how the
Yeah.
finance department handles the reimbursement of expenses that the Trails Committee volunteers have just gone out and gotten in before, and conservation has approved it. Now, anything over $100 as a cumulative item on a single receipt, no matter what the items are.
It could actually be multiple receipts.
Yeah.
But if you're submitting which I often do, like Mark Valero, a lot of times will give me 10 receipts in 1 month.
Yeah.
Easily, or more. And he went there to get gas, and he went over here to get a chainsaw sharpened, and then he went up, it was a bunch of little things because he does a lot of work for trails, and those are usually over $100.
Well, let me ask you this. Does it delay his reimbursement?
Yes, because the way it works is that you have to first, instead of me just submitting it for reimbursement, I have to request a purchase order. That goes to the purchasing department. Then they have to fill out forms and put that in their computer, and then put a copy of that on the mayor's desk. The mayor reviews it, sends it back to purchasing. They put it into their stuff, and then they take the invoice and submit that to accounting. And then they have to cancel out the purchase order. So
Wow.
it's a lot of extra work.
A lot
Wow,
of stupidity there.
Yeah.
wow.
And that
That's,
can delay it because of all of that. Plus, if the mayor's on vacation or he's not there for a few days, he doesn't have a chance, he can't review it.
what?
Yep.
And the person who's in his spot when he's away on vacation should be doing it.
No, the mayor has to review anything over $100. But it
That's
used to be
total
any
bullshit.
one item. Before that, it used to be any one item over $100. But now it's like if you
Wow.
spent $100 in the last month, and those are all being submitted together, like Mark, now that has
I have no problem wanting to account for
Wait,
expenses. but-
wait. Is this citywide?
Yes, but it mostly affects trails because other departments really don't have all these volunteers doing.
All right, well, we'll have to have a meeting with, what is it, Hiller? Who's?
Oh, he's not there anymore. And this is what?
Paul Hiller's not there anymore?
Who's
The
purchasing? No?
It's the $100 thing is the mayor. That's what he wants. This is just how it's being interpreted, and I don't know if that's coming from the mayor or not. I don't know where it's coming from.
Well, we'll have to go talk to him. All right.
Yeah.
we'll go talk
Yeah,
to him.
and
It
Bill
seems
was
like
planning on doing that.
It seems like a lot of problems here that we can be avoided very easily.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and in the least, we can get it to 500 maybe. I mean, that's ridiculous. So let's talk to him and see what we can do.
Yeah, I actually plan to set up a meeting with the mayor on this topic.
Good.
Great.
I think that's good. Okay, next. We don't want to talk about that. What else we got?
Anything else, Bill?
That's enough. That's good.
Okay. Ed, I don't think we have any updates on the Shelton canal locks. You're on mute, by the way. You're on mute.
There we go. Okay. No, nothing new. We're, I guess we, on the vis-a-vis the development, it's waiting for more detailed plans. Vis-a-vis the engineer the city selected, that's been put on ice by the mayor. And there's nothing new since I last reported. P&Z that didn't seem to give two hoots about the zigzag walk path up along the parking lot.
Well, P&Z is going to change their opinion on that shortly. I think by November.
That'd be nice.
And certainly the biannual report was a very refreshing, that led off the whole thing. It was encouraging, at least. It's sort of in writing that they want to move ahead. So that was good.
Yeah. You didn't catch that, did you, Tom?
No.
All right, forget it.
All
right, who's our new chairman? What else we got?
Oh, well, slow down, cowboy. I just had a couple things I put on our agenda because I haven't had any updates, so they're a little old and stale, but I'll just mention like the Great River Water Club, the former Murphy's Boatyard with auto swage. CAM study by P&Z was supposed to be redone to include this appended property, but as far as I've seen, that has not happened yet. We just talked about the Cedar Village locks. I haven't had a response from P&Z regarding our letter regarding that zigzag walkway. Open space dedication for Gamble Place. Teresa, there was some talk about the deed going to the land trust, and these houses are now up and the street is paved, and
I had contacted the mayor's assistant, Kelly Visano, and let her know about this, and she was looking into it and contacting Fran Teodosio to, I said, we just want to make sure it didn't slip through the cracks and it does need to be deeded as open space. And that's where
and then across the street from that development, there was the 3-lot subdivision. I think there was a conservation easement. Did Mr. Grasso get placards to install on that?
I contacted him and he was going to come in and get them, and I think he did get them. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, one of his daughters got married, so he had a lot of things going on. So, and then 390 Shelton Avenue. This is the PDD for 16 homes on 5 acres. It abuts the Shelton Lakes Greenway. There is no public open space dedication. The really worrisome thing on this is that because it is not a subdivision, Planning and Zoning Department has not asked the Conservation Commission for a referral. And in watching it, the town council has interpreted that the open space dedication from Aspatuck, which abuts this parcel, because the deed restricts it from not ever having any residential use in the future, that town council has interpreted that to be a non-residential area. Didn't use the word zone, he used area. And in the planning and zoning regs, he is interpreting that means that this parcel, this 5-acre parcel, is a transition area between a non-residential and allows a PDD to occur there. I think that's off base, because if that's the case, every golf course, church, school, city facility, firehouse and such would be a non-residential use, and you could say that area is now a transitional zone or transitional area.
Right.
So I asked that question at the P&Z public portion and have not received any answer.
And are you holding your breath?
Right.
Well, what's more problematic is that on the one hand, they're saying the open space dedication is a non-residential area. And on the other hand, they show a water line going from this parcel through into that open space to access the water. So they're trying to have the best of all worlds, and it's very troublesome, very troublesome. I have personally inquired at the Water Pollution Control Authority, and they do not have any approvals from them to access the sewer system. Initially, they showed it accessing a lateral from Aspetuck, and at the Inland Wetlands Commission presentation, they indicated that they had permission from Aspetuck to make that connection and had the approvals from Water Pollution Control Authority, neither of which is true. They have since changed the plan to show that they would use pump grinders to go up under Route 108. But they still show the water connection through the city open space.
Through the city open space, not the.
The dedication from
open
the dedication from Aspetuck has a Bridgeport hydraulic water line that comes from the last fire hydrant on 108 into Aspetuck. And so they're showing a connection to that water line, which is on the city open space to access this development parcel. And that approval has not been granted by the Board of Aldermen, and yet it is shown on their drawings.
But it will be.
Well, that offers its own complications too. So that's just really an update. What's more disappointing is that planning and zoning is of the opinion that because it's not a subdivision and just simply a zone change, that they aren't required to ask for the planning and zone conservation commission's referral.
Even though we're in a butter.
Well, just because you're not required to ask for a opinion because it's a zone change, doesn't mean you can't. I think there would be great benefit in asking us for some commentary. But that's where we stand right now. Open space trust account. I know that the city is not funding it per the city ordinance anymore. And I'm just going to keep it right on here is that the funds from that sale of dedicated open space in Huntington Woods has not been deposited into the open space trust account still.
It was at Tonic Woods. Not
No.
Huntington Woods.
No, Huntington Woods.
Huntington Woods, the Wesley Drive area.
Oh,
Yeah.
that thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Wesley Drive. Okay. Sorry.
I had on here a quality of life. We won't discuss it specifically, Teresa, but you and I met with Kelly and presented her with some information. Have you heard back anything from her?
No.
I put on here under quality of life South Bank, and I showed this to Jim on Sunday. I'm going to show you a couple photos of what's occurring across the street from South Bank. This is the Worcester Island in the Housatonic River, and it has become super popular for
Wow.
boaters to raft up and party, basically. They have, can you see that, the camping that's set up on the island?
Wow.
There is some encampment set up on the island, and there hasn't been that many patrols from, I guess it would be the Connecticut DP. I don't think it's the Coast Guard, but that Worcester Island out in the Housatonic has got some, in my eyes, some safety concerns, but
Is that a private island?
I'm not really sure. I don't
think
think
I looked
so.
into that once. I think it's privately owned.
I
Really?
don't think so, Teresa, because that was really kind of a sandbar. It really wasn't. I know the island over near my property in Derby, between Derby and Shelton, that is not a private island. That's owned by
No, I think this was different. It might actually be, should look into it.
well, I would
Yeah.
look into it, but what was more impactful was people were parking at South Bank and then getting ferried across to the party zone.
No.
And so South Bank the parking lot was filled and cars were parked alongside Route 110.
Wow.
And there was a tremendous amount of trash.
I was
in
thinking
the-
garbage, yeah,
Yeah.
garbage and,
So, you know, not to go into it, but additionally, there's some telephone poles nearby this that have been tagged with some graffiti insignias. So I know the police have been there a couple times. But I don't, this is something that we should be just thinking about on how it's our open space and how this is impactful to residents being able to utilize it. From just assumption, no empirical information, I'm thinking that most of this activity is happening from people outside of residents. So
Whose jurisdiction is the island or the river?
Right. What is it? Shelton? Is it Milford? Is it
I don't
Corn?
know. Teresa's bringing up perhaps it's a private island. I don't think it is. But even if it is not, they are on the shore, and hopefully all these vehicles are registered and they got proper flotation devices. But I mean, after Sunday night, or Sunday during the day when I saw this, on Monday, Labor Day, I went by and those tents were there. So people were overnighting in these encampments, and you've got high tide and low tide. It's not a good recipe.
What town is
Are
it?
the tents being left up during the weekdays?
I haven't been by this week, but on Monday I drove on the road there and I could see them up left over from Sunday.
And, you know, one of the solutions may very well be, after talking to the mayor about it, that there may have to take a month from mid-July to mid-August, so the city just closes South Bank to nip this in the bud and put
Oh,
a
that's-
chain
yeah.
across the parking area.
That that might be a solution.
That's pretty
Um,
sad, though.
That would be unfortunate.
Yeah.
But you know, we did have a problem similar in the area of Pine Rock Park by the Pearl Bach property, where there was a lot of non-residents coming and using the Farm Mill River for swimming, bathing, whatever. And it created a lot of impact on the neighborhood, the community, garbage. I think this is of a similar nature.
I remember picking up the garbage down there with the litter committee. The
Yeah.
litter
I
committee.
remember creating trail too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And the trails too. Yeah, we used to work down there a lot.
Right.
It is hard to know. I guess we have to first find out if this is bothering the authorities in regards to what
I know the police have been down
parties
there.
are going on over there.
I know the police have been at least at the South Bank parking area because I saw them there a weekend before Labor Day.
Usually
But-
these tidal islands like this are not privately owned, Teresa, because they come and go. And 20 years ago, that thing was a sliver of what it is now, and in 20 years from now, it could be gone. I'm sure you're not confusing the island, what they call the island that's next to Beard, the gravel operation.
No, it's not that. There was some other island somewhere in the Housatonic that I remember this coming up several years ago and looking into it. And I forget why it came up, but there was some issue about, yeah, it was some private island, and the owner, you know, doesn't live there and just was, you know, not doing anything about it. And that's why people were being able to go there, because the owner wasn't, I can't remember. I'd have to look into it again. And no, I'm not 100% sure, but it's just a question, something to look into. I mean, you could pull up did you look at the GIS map, Tom?
I did not, but while you're talking, I can look that up.
We don't even know if it's in Shelton or
Right,
One of-
right. Might be like
Milford.
Milford or something.
Milford.
across on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably in deep jurisdiction, being in the middle of the river.
Right, it's right there in the middle.
I remember Hank Laureate's term, the thalwag. of
That's
the river.
Thalwag of the river.
Thalwig.
yes.
Thalwig.
Thalwig.
Thalwag,
Thalwig.
yeah. That was
God
Hank's-
bless him. He was a good
yeah.
guy. The fall wig of the river.
Okay, it looks like it's within the town of Orange. Let me just share my screen here.
Makes more sense on that side of the river.
Yeah.
So, there's a town boundary. Here's the city of Shelton, South Bank, open space.
Yeah.
And right across the river is, it's the town of Orange.
Does it have a name? I see a wording next to that.
It just says the word orange. I mean, if I did,
Uh,
I'm sure the town of Orange has a GIS map as well. But let me turn on some, so this is from 2019 satellite view. Of course, this is high tide, but that's as close as I can go, but there does seem to be something of a residue from human activity there. So,
I'm surprised they never put a hole on that and made that a little difficult part 3.
Yeah, it's right
But
across from.
in reference to what you said, Ed,
Well,
this sandbar here that's in front of the
Yeah.
leading leeward side of
Yeah.
or upstream side, that was very minimal for years, but that has, I mean, this is a 2019 photo. That has very significantly filled in over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, this is now at a,
Wow.
I mean, there's the sandbar, it almost connects. And then when you have a higher tide, it just flows over that, but is depositing some of the sand behind that bar. I don't know enough about the fluvial movements, but there's definitely a larger sand creation happening in this spot. I remember when I had a jet ski, and we're going back into the early 90s, I used to come up on this side of the island and come across. Obviously, I couldn't do that today.
I vaguely recall when my dad had a boat, so we're going back to the 60s, him going up the river and saying, only at high tide can you go on this side of this island. Never try and go on this side of the island at low tide. So big boats used to be able to go up alongside the island
definitely. I
at
know
high
the
tide.
channel is on this side. I definitely know that.
Right.
But with
Yep.
my jet ski, sometimes at high tide, I went up this side. So,
Yeah.
Well, Teresa, it looks like it's in the town of Orange, but I know the police have been here. And no matter where the end destination is, kind of like we dealt with Pearl Buck being in Stratford,
Yep. Yep.
there is an impact on our city open space. And not that I would really advocate for it, but between usage like this or at the dog park by non-residents, you know, at some point we might have to consider that our open space areas have something that's by resident only.
Mhm.
Not really a fan of that concept, but I just mention it.
Or maybe you need to make some of those areas along the water, like Sunnyside, in order to park down there. Don't you have to have a sticker
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
boat
that's
launch?
true. That's
You
true.
know?
But I was thinking more broadly with open space, you know, being
Yeah,
impacted
yeah.
by non-residents.
But for
I mean,
this
it's very easy. You
particular
could
one,
just include a resident sticker in your automobile property taxes. Done. But I know, you know, the landfill, when that was capped, there was a whole presentation that was supposed to become a recreation area with a lagoon and a kayak put in and stuff.
yeah,
And nothing ever came about with that, unfortunately. And that would have been really something that would have been a state provided waterfront access for recreational with boating and stuff. It wouldn't be something that the city would have to be involved with monitoring or having the expenses for maintenance and such. I wonder whatever happened to that.
I think the methane issues probably.
Well, it was around the time of the methane issues, Bill, because the methane had migrated across to the Casanova Gulf Cumberland Farms area. And what happened was they hadn't been maintaining the filters in their gas extraction and flaring infrastructure. and that had closed that area because of a leak. And then they had a big neighborhood community meeting at Long Hill School. This concept of a recreation access was presented there. And as a reminder, the Pine Rock Park area does have its own Pine Rock Park Fund. It's the only area in the city of Shelton that has its own fund that is to be used just for that area of Shelton, improvements to it. And that came about from I think it was the dumping fees, but in addition to the capping when it was a CRRA landfill. I'm not sure where that's accounted for or how much is in it, but I know it was at least it was in the six figures.
Wow.
So some improvements that have been made to the Pine Rock Park area, like an aerator at the pond and some of the playground escape area, that came from that Pine Rock Park Fund. So, and I think expenditures from it have to be approved by the aldermen that service that area, which would be Alderman Anglis and Camucci. Anyway, that brings us to comments by members. And I'll start off. As you all know, I am running for planning and zoning. And if I am elected, which of course I hope I am, but if I am elected, the charter prohibits a planning and zoning commissioner from serving in any other elected or appointed position. So I would have to resign from the Conservation Commission. I mean, if I don't get elected, I'm just going to continue status quo because the mayor hasn't reappointed anybody. But the point of the matter is that if I do get elected and then I'm no longer in Conservation Commission, there will be now 2 vacancies in addition to all of your terms having expired. But there will be 2 vacancies and somebody will have to take over chairmanship.
And I regret to remind you that I would probably be resigning at the year end as part of my retirement and moving to the state of Maine. So sorry.
Wow, Ed, that's happy news.
Yeah.
I mean, not that
You're
you're
getting
leaving.
rid of me.
No, I meant that you're.
Thank God you're getting out of here, Ed.
Finally, he's off. No, I meant your retirement. And Maine is gorgeous. Maine is so pretty.
Thanks.
If Tony Panico can do it from Florida, you can be the chairman.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Oh my
you have-
gosh.
in this case, you do have to be a resident of the town. So.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
just
that
don't
would be,
tell your-
we've all been, I mean, I've served on here 24 going into my 25th year. Ed and Jim, you were here before me. We're all not getting any younger. And while Ed may be closer to or ready to jump ship retirement sooner than us, we're all not that far away from it. So I really hope that the administration sees that there is a benefit to long-term service in this particular commissioner role, and that it would be to the city's benefit to have people begin serving at least the vacancy and perhaps my vacancy sooner rather than later, so that the
Yeah.
continuity can continue.
Right.
Even Teresa's position when she was mentioning about New Hampshire, I just can't, you're like irreplaceable.
Oh, that's nice.
Well,
No, the knowledge that you bring, the hard work that
Well,
you do.
And I had forgotten, but that's actually another thing I did is I started writing down for whoever, follows me, or if I'm hit by a bus or whatever, some of this stuff like, that you otherwise would have no idea what to do. For example, like I have to do the FRPP inspections once every year for Jones Farm and Shelton Family Farm, and I have to submit that. And nobody would know to do that otherwise.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
to make sure that we're in compliance with the DEEP grants and that the signs are up and we have public access and there's maps and everything for the grants that we've received for open space. And
That's what I mean. You really do a lot. I mean, you really do a lot.
I
And
think generally what Sherry is referring to and Teresa's recounting is what's termed intellectual capital. Any organization certainly has
Sure.
capital assets of vehicles and equipment and so on, but it's the intellectual capital that often makes an organization function very well. And while nobody is replaceable, it is beneficial for Teresa to do exactly what she's doing, to at least have an outline or a rough sketch of the things that need to be accomplished by whatever times and calendar points in the year. So that's good that you're doing that.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Well said, Jerry.
Yep, just let Tom take the wheel.
Well, but in that regard, Teresa, I do have to sit down with you at some point, and how I am streaming our meetings onto our YouTube channel is via the Conservation Commission's Google account. So that it's pretty simple to do, but things of a tech nature are good to have written out as well. So.
Okay.
All right, so that's my comments. Teresa, do you have anything to offer?
No, I mean, I finished off hiking the Appalachian Trail, New Hampshire section. Oh my God, it's hard. The trail, you wouldn't believe, it's just, you would think such a big national scenic trail that, you know, it'd be a little bit safer or more well marked or whatever, and it's just not. It is, I have so much more respect from all the people. And, you know, they say the people who come up from Georgia, they make a certain progress and then they hit New Hampshire and boom, they just slow to a crawl. They hit it, they hit a wall, so to speak. And some of them give up there because it's just very, very grueling. Just the terrain is very rocky and cliffs that I had to, there was a rainy day and I had to just slide down on my butt cliff after cliff after cliff.
Wow.
It was just grueling. And, you know, I get to the top of a cliff and I go, I can't do this. But there's nobody going to come up. There's no alternate. So you just have to take a deep breath and, you know, you got to pack on my back, you know, so that throws off your balance and everything. And it's raining and just, well, there's no other, I have to get down. So I just get on my butt and
you're by yourself, right?
yeah, but there's other people on the trail.
That's
There are other
insane.
people on that. It's because it's the Appalachian Trail. But so somebody's always coming by.
No, but you know what I mean. Like if you get tired, nobody's going, come on, let's go.
No.
You're
Oh,
pushing
yeah.
yourself motivated.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
good.
Yep. And
The
maybe
photos were
it's
spectacular that you shared on.
the
social media.
presidential range with Mount Washington, Jefferson, all that. I spent a full day and 2 half days completely above tree line in the alpine zone. It was
Wow.
amazing. Yeah, it was amazing.
I'll have to go on
Stayed in those
Facebook and
huts that
look.
they have. Yeah. Yeah, it was quite an experience.
Lovely. Ed McCreary, anything you want to offer as comments by member?
No, I don't have anything new to add.
Sherry?
I felt bad that I had some technical difficulty. My computer just went off. So did the young man say what his fundraising project was?
They were
Bottles,
going to do a
cans.
bottle drive. Bottle drive.
Oh, bottles. Oh, the bottle cans, because I have a bag. Good. And how is he gonna connect people for that? Is it advertisement or?
I suggested that he reach out to the Shelton Herald for publicity so that the fundraising would occur beyond just the scout realm.
And then he had, yeah, I think that was it. Just that the fundraiser, and then he had it approved, right?
We did endorse his project to be managed with Bill Dyer and Teresa.
And that's going to be completed this fall, he said.
I suspect he will get it done pretty promptly. The gentleman is 14 years old.
Yeah, well, he's only 14. Wow.
Yeah.
I thought he spoke pretty good.
The only stumbling blocks now is getting it through the Housatonic Council, and who knows
Okay.
how long it'll take. And obviously, you can't wait too long to dig the holes, or the ground will be
Yeah,
maybe
correct.
from
Okay.
not the way things are going. But that's those. Yeah, age is not an issue for him.
Thank you.
It was a good presentation of all the Eagle Scout projects we got. They're all very good, but his was, for a 14-year-old, was well presented.
I'll let him know.
Bill, anything?
No, I think I'm all set.
Jim Tate? Okay,
Go.
well, with nothing further on our agenda, well, Ed got bounced off, but I'll admit him so that we can adjourn our meeting. All right, folks. Well, with nothing further on our agenda, we stand adjourned.
Adieu.
Okay.
I do.
Good one.
Bye, Bill. Bye, everyone.
Take care, everybody.